What's up guys, I'm Cucu. Last video I said that I was going to explain a little bit about the spreadsheet, so this is the video. First, obviously the spreadsheet will be in the description, the link. And, well, let's get started. First thing you want to check is make sure that the spreadsheet is the last version. Like sometimes when the update drops, I take a little bit, like you could say I take a day, maybe less than a day, a couple of hours making the spreadsheet if it's a big update. So make sure that in the title it says update 6 or update 5.5 or whatever, and that way you can know if it's the newest tier list. I mean, if the tier list is updated, the link will always be the same. I won't make different links. It will always be the same link. But you just make sure the title is changed. That means it's updated. Alright, basically, the spreadsheet is separated in various columns. You can see the first column is units. It's color based, you could say. Secret units are red. As you can see, the newest units from Aethenix realm are this kind of goldish color. The wish units are blue and mythics are white. Alright, so that's the first column. After that we have level. All of the units are level 90. This is because people want to know what is the highest possible damage their units can have. And this is obviously the highest level you can have currently, which is level 90, right? So, okay. Next column is buff and debuffs. This is pretty self-explanatory. If the unit has a special effect or a special buff, special debuff or whatever, it will say in this column. For example, we have Dragon Wizard. He does burn, he has an ability, and also he buffs burn. For example, let's take the Gamer. He's a summoner. Let's take Gale Archer, one of the new mythics in this update, has a 25% crit chance. Okay, so that is what buff and debuff is. Next column we have type. Pretty self-explanatory also. HYBD is hybrid, GRND is ground. Just in case if anyone is out of that. You can see there's hybrids, there's grounds, there's I think 2 hills, and the Gamer is ground / hybrid because he's a ground, but his summons are hybrid, right? Alright, now we got AoE type and AoE size. This is pretty self-explanatory. The AoE type is what he hits, So some units hit full AoE, some units hit circle, some units hit line, and there's even cone AoE. And then I give a brief description of what the size is, you could say. This is temporary. I obviously want to change it to values, but that'll probably be later on. So we can see big circle, small circle, full, medium, big. It's pretty self-explanatory, Alright, now we got the next 3, which is in-game stats, the ones we can see. Damage, SPA, and range. All of them are S stat, like it says here. S stat, trait list level 90. One thing, some people, I've had messages of this before, some people say, why Dragon Wizard's damage is this, but when I'm in game, it's a different damage. The thing is, these damages already have accounted burn, because burn is a different multiplier. They have accounted, let's say, bleed. They have accounted some buffs. Basically this is the damage after calculating non-visual damage, because when you see your unit in game, the damage you see is not accounting burn, is not accounting buffs. Well, sometimes, some buffs, better say, but it doesn't account burn and bleed. So that's why a lot of people say, why does the Dragon Wizard have so much damage here? Or another bleed like Radiant King or Bear King. So, well, yeah, that's what I wanted to explain. And all of these are calculated by formulas. So you can see in the top here, all of them they have different formulas and everything. And they're 100% guaranteed that they're correct. You guys don't gotta worry about that. I always make sure I quadruple check before updating the spreadsheets. I'll explain a little bit. Like, let's say Dragon Wizard. Dragon Wizard, this is his base damage, and then that's multiplied by level 90, which is 8.298, and then this is multiplied by the stat, and then it's multiplied by the amount of burn damage it does. That's basically how it goes, and then SPA is stat, range is stat. Next is number placement. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's how many units you can place of the same. Like, for example, Dragon Wizard, the max unit cap is 2. You cannot place 3, you cannot place 4. The unit can only place 2, unless you have Almighty, obviously. That makes it 1. And those are for all the units. 2, 3, 1. We got a bunch of amounts. We got even 5 for Aether. And yeah, that's the number of placement. Okay, now this is where the stats start getting a little bit, like, some people start getting confused here. What is DPS? DPS stands for damage per second. It's something that is used in various games to compare what is good and what is not good. And basically the way you calculate it is you divide the damage by the SPA, and that will give you how much damage it does every second, and this is the result. For example, Dragon Wizard every second is doing 15k. Let's take someone, let's say the Curse Knight. The Curse Knight is doing every second 6k. So that's like, this column is how much damage it does per placement. This is something really important. It's per placement. This is the damage. Now, what is total DPS? Total DPS is the total placements. Let's say this is 1 placement, and we got a unit with 4 placements. This column shows the damage of all 4 placements, not 1, all 4. And how do you do this? Basically, what it does, it multiplies the DPS by the number of placements, and that's the outcome. So let's say Dragon Wizard's total DPS will be 31k. And if you think this is wrong or whatever, another way you can do it for yourself is multiply these two. 15k by 2, 31k. 8.6k by 3, 25, and so on, right? Like Lunar is like the only exception, well, and Darkness Prince, that has 1 placement. So the 2 values are the same because there's no difference. Oh, also, something I forgot to mention, some columns have a description for common questions. That way, if you're doubting something, it probably has a description explaining what's happening or whatever. And yeah, that's basically DPS and total DPS. Another question is why Lunar, Solar, and Aether have a little bit different damage. In this spreadsheet, basically this calculates the highest possible DPS of a unit because it has stat, it has level 90, and also I've decided to put the buff. For example, Aether Knight, I don't know if, probably some of you guys don't know, Aether Knight has a 50% self buff that he can do if he has a lot of units around him. It's 2 per unit. His max cap is 50%. And in his total DPS that is calculated here, it's already accounting those 50%. So well, same goes for Lunar. Lunar has 1% damage per 20 kills, and that stops at 50%. The damage here is also counted, those 50%. Solar has the same thing, but Solar some of you guys know, that got buffed to 100%. But being completely realistical, the only way you're getting those 100% is if you play infinite, like really high infinites. So I just kept it at 50%. So those 3 units that have those different buffs from the rest have the 50% included. So take that with a grain of salt. For like, if you see this, it's because it accounts that, which is it's something that is needed because you want to know highest damage. Okay, now next column we have optimal mythic trait. What does this mean? It basically, well, this is determined by a formula. It's not that I choose it. It's basically because if a unit's placement is 1 or 2, this will automatically detect Almighty. If the unit is 3, 4, or 5, it's gonna be Requiem because, well, it doesn't need much explanation, but Requiem is just better for 3 and 4 and 5, and Almighty is better for 1 and 2. After this, I'm also planning to make a video explaining Almighty versus Requiem, because a lot of people think Almighty is better for 3 placement units, but it's not, like, by a lot. Okay, so yeah, I'll do an example. Lunar obviously is an Almighty unit because she has 1 placement, so she gets the most advantage out of anyone. Let's say she was 4. You're gonna see how it's gonna change. 4, automatically changes to Requiem. This is because it's already decided by a formula, and yeah, so there's no way that I like mess up that. So, and that's the same what happens with total DPS and DPS. It's all made by formulas, so you can make sure this is a trustworthy spreadsheet. Alright, next column, total DPS. This is basically based off this column. If the unit is Almighty, this is how much damage per second it will do. Like, the total DPS with optimal trait. That's what it means. So this unit, Almighty, what is this unit? Dragon Wizard with Almighty will do 69k per second with Almighty. And something that some people don't notice is not because a unit's total DPS is the highest means he's the best unit in game. Like, he is the best unit in game without accounting traits. But once you account traits, let's say here, I'll sort it to the highest damage. You can see how a lot of the units change place. And this is because some units get buffed even more than other units because of their trait. For example, now the highest unit is Lunar Huntress. And it's pretty obvious because she's a 1 placement, aka means she's gonna get the highest advantage or the highest buff from being Almighty. I'll teach you guys at the end how to do those changes by yourself so you can compare and stuff. Alright, next one we have Optimal Spirit. Optimal Spirit is pretty self-explanatory. It's what is the best spirit for the unit. I've done multiple, and when I say multiple, I mean a lot of calculations how to determine the best optimal spirit for a unit. Some people say, yo, but Crimson is better for bleed units or for burn units. I've already made that calculation. It's not. It's really not. I'll probably make a different video. I don't want to make this video too long, but I'll explain spirits and the calculations behind them. So stay tuned for that video if you guys are interested in that. But yeah, Storm Spirit is really good. I'll just say it. That's basically self-explanatory, but Storm Spirit is it's the most consistent spirit in game. True Spirit is obviously good, but the thing with True Spirit is that you need enemies around the unit. and that only realistically happens in Infinite or in like the New World. So True Spirit depends on a factor. Storm Spirit is just overall good. It doesn't depend on anything. It's just 25% faster. And yeah. After that, Divine Spirit is also really good. Especially on units that have high amount of placements, because more placements equal more Divine Spirit, like more people. Well, Divine Spirit, what it does, it makes the enemies walk backwards. If you have more units doing that effect, it'll mean more people walking backwards. And yeah, all the other spirits are not that good. It's mainly between Storm, Divine, and True. Those three are the main ones. And for slows, obviously Ice, or yeah, Ice mainly. Okay, next column. Next column is total cost. Total cost is pretty self-explanatory. This is per placement. So every one unit you put, for example, Dragon Mage will be 92k to place him and to upgrade him to his last upgrade. And what is total cost? The last column. This is like taking into account all of the placements. So this is per placement. Each one of these you see here is each one costs this. And then total cost is the all of the placements. If a unit is a 5 placement, this will account all 5. If a unit is a 3 placement, it's going to count all 3. And here is just 1. This other column is just 1. Alright, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. If there's any doubt, if there's any questions, just leave it in the comments. I'll probably just respond there or make a separate video if it's necessary. But now I want to teach you guys how to use the spreadsheet. And what I mean use, you guys can do basically a lot of things with this spreadsheet. So first, just go to File and then go to Make a Copy. You can name it whatever you want, like a bunch of numbers, I don't know. And here you will have to do this with every update, by the way, because sometimes stuff changes. Alright. Let's say you want to see, you want to separate the units by their type. So you just press these 3 lines and then you press Z to A, or A to Z. Now it's going to separate it by, it's going to put it in alphabetical order, or you can sort it by color or whatever. You can, let's say you want types. You can sort it also A to Z. And now it's going to separate ground units with ground hybrid, with hill, with hybrid. Let's say you want to separate their AoE types. Now it's going to be all the big circles and the big line, full AoE, stuff like that. I mean, mainly you don't do those 4. But let's say damage. You want to see what is the unit with least amount of damage. You go to the 3 lines, Z to A. And now you're going to see what unit, oh no, this is the most. A to Z is least. You're going to see that Legion Veteran is the one that does least amount of damage. Let's say you want to see the fastest unit in game. Now you can see Muscular Sorcerer is the fastest unit in game. Let's say you want to see the highest range or the lowest range. Highest range is Lunar. You want to sort it out by number of placements. There it is. There's only 1 5 placement. Let's say you want to sort it out by highest or lowest DPS. You sort it out like that. Like all of these changes, you can do it like right now if you want. Like you just gotta make a copy and you can do these yourself. Let's say you want to sort it out by lowest total DPS or highest total DPS. Let's say you want to sort it by traits. Almighty's first and then Requiems. Let's say you want to sort it by highest damage, the lowest damage with optimal trait. Or if you want to sort it by spirits, or you want to see the highest costing unit or the lowest costing unit. You can do all of these like yourself if you want. You can also play around with the stats. You can, let's say you have an A stat and not an S stat, and your unit does not every 8.5, it does every 9.2. So you can change that for yourself and see how much damage it would do. And you can do all of the changes you want. You can delete stuff and whatever. It's not going to affect the main spreadsheet because this is a copy. It's like your copy. You can do whatever you want. You can see how much, let's say, Lunar Princess, where is she? Let's say Lunar Huntress. You want to see how much damage she would do if she was a 4 placement. You can change that. She would do a lot of damage. You can do whatever you want, and that's basically what I wanted to teach, mainly because a lot of people don't know you can make a copy for yourself and just play around with the stuff. And well, yeah, I think that's basically everything to cover up. There's also a tier list page if you guys didn't see the tier list and video. I'll be showing more videos there. But yeah, that's basically it. If you guys got any questions, just make sure to leave them in the comments or send it to my DMs. Probably the comments is a better option because I get a lot of DMs per day and sometimes I lose them. But yeah, that's basically it. If you guys watched the whole video, y'all are crazy, but thank you. And yeah, I hope this actually helped. And yeah, I appreciate you guys for all the help, for all the support, and see you guys in the next video. I'll be trying to upload pretty frequently. But yeah, thanks guys. See ya.